For centuries, humanity believed the darkness was empty. When astronomers looked into the deepest parts of the sky and saw almost nothing, they assumed nothing was real, a blank region, a quiet patch of the cosmos, a limit. But then the James Webb Space Telescope stared into one of those apparently empty regions for days, collecting the faintest infrared light imaginable. And what came back did not just improve our picture of the universe. It shattered it. Because where older observations' music had revealed only a tiny fraction of what was out there, Webb exposed an almost overwhelming flood of galaxies packed into a region of sky no larger than a grain of sand held at arm's length. That means the universe was never sparse. It was never mostly empty in the way we imagined. We were simply blind to most of it. And once that realization settles in, a terrifying possibility emerges. The universe may be vastly larger, fuller, and more unreachable than we ever dared to believe. One of the most disturbing things Webb has done is force us to admit that what we called emptiness was often just invisibility. For decades, telescopes like Hubble transformed astronomy, but they were still limited by what kind of light they could detect. Much of the most distant universe emits light that has been stretched by cosmic expansion out of the visible range and into the infrared. That means those galaxies were always there, hidden in plain sight, waiting for a telescope capable of seeing what our older instruments could not. And when Webb looked at the same deep field for around 250 hours, the result was staggering. In a patch of sky where earlier observations had found around 10,000 galaxies, Webb revealed nearly 800,000. That is not a small correction. That is the kind of jump that changes the meaning of the entire cosmos. It means our previous galaxy counts were not slightly incomplete. They were catastrophically incomplete. Like estimating the population of a vast city by peeking into one dimly lit alley, humanity had been measuring the universe using only the narrowest sliver of what reality was actually showing us. Once that deep field result sank in, the next realization became even harder to absorb. The universe is not just old. It is geometrically enormous in a way that completely breaks ordinary human intuition. Even though the cosmos is about 13.8 billion years old, the radius of the observable universe is not 13.8 billion light years. It is around 46.5 billion light years in every direction because space itself has been expanding while the light was traveling. That detail is more unsettling than it first sounds because it means the universe we can observe is already unimaginably larger than the age-based number most people carry in their heads. And it gets worse. Some galaxies are now receding from us faster than the speed of light, not because they are violating relativity, but because the fabric of space between us is expanding. That creates a real cosmic horizon, a boundary beyond which light can never reach us. In other words, huge parts of the universe are not just far away. They are permanently cut off, not hidden by bad technology, but exiled from observation by the geometry of reality itself. This is where the story becomes genuinely haunting. The true scale of the universe is not only a matter of distance, it is also a matter of loss. Because the expansion of the cosmos is being driven by dark energy, and that expansion is causing more and more distant galaxies to cross the observable horizon forever. They are not being destroyed. They are not ceasing to exist. They are simply becoming causally unreachable, slipping beyond the limit where their light can ever get to us again. That means the universe is not just enormous. It is actively erasing parts of itself from our view. Every second, more regions pass beyond permanent observational reach. The cosmic library is not merely vast. Pages are being torn out faster than we can read them. And that changes the emotional meaning of astronomy. We are not living in a static universe patiently waiting to be explored. We are living in a shrinking window of access, a brief era in which the large-scale structure of the cosmos is still visible. Future observers may look out and see a universe that appears mostly empty with no obvious evidence of the Big Bang or the vast galactic web we can still detect today. And then comes one of the strangest implications of all. We often speak about the observable universe as if it were one shared thing, one common sphere that all observers participate in equally. But that is not really true. Every observer anywhere in the cosmos lives inside their own observable sphere centered on themselves, limited by the speed of light, cosmic expansion, and their position in space-time. That means there is no single universal view. There is no cosmic balcony from which the whole thing can be seen at once. This is deeply unsettling because it means reality is fundamentally partial. Some galaxies will never be seen by us, not because we failed, but because from our position, they are physically impossible to observe. Other civilizations, if they exist, would have their own different observable cosmos with horizons and histories that do not perfectly overlap with ours. There is no universal present either, because when we look at distant galaxies, we are seeing ancient light, not what those galaxies are now. The universe is fragmented not only by distance but by time, causality, and perspective. James Webb has not merely shown us that the cosmos is huge. It has shown us that no observer ever gets the full version of it. What makes this discovery so powerful is that James Webb did not simply zoom farther into space like a better camera. It changed the kind of universe we are able to perceive. Older telescopes could only show part of the cosmic story because so much ancient light had already been stretched by expansion into the infrared. That means the early universe was not missing from view because it was empty. It was missing because our tools were not sensitive enough to see what had always been there. And that is what makes this feel so unsettling. Because once Webb opened that hidden layer, the cosmos stopped looking like a mostly sparse system dotted with islands of galaxies and started looking more like an almost endless ocean of structure. Everywhere it looked, more galaxies appeared. More depth, more crowding, more evidence that what we used to call deep space was often just the edge of our blindness. Like walking into a dark cathedral with a candle and later returning with floodlights. Humanity is now being forced to admit that the universe was never small enough for us to understand comfortably. We just had not illuminated enough of it yet. And this is where the whole story becomes almost impossible to emotionally absorb, because even the observable universe, as enormous as it is, may only be a tiny fraction of what truly exists. The part we can see is limited by light, time, and expansion. It is not the whole cosmos. It is only the portion whose light has had enough time to reach us since the beginning of cosmic history. That means the real universe may extend vastly beyond everything we can observe, perhaps by an unimaginable amount, perhaps even infinitely. And that possibility is more terrifying than it first sounds, because it means our greatest maps are not maps of the whole. They are maps of a bubble, a local patch, a tiny visible clearing inside something much larger and forever inaccessible. Like standing on a beach at night with a flashlight and realizing the light reaches only a few meters while the ocean goes on forever. James Webb is not just confirming how much we can see. It is forcing us to confront how much must exist beyond sight. There's a strange paradox hidden inside all of this. The more galaxies Webb discovers, the more humbling the universe becomes. You might think that seeing more would make reality feel more complete, more known, more under control. But the opposite happens. Every new galaxy does not just add one more object to the map. It expands the meaning of what lies beyond the map. Because if one tiny patch of sky can contain hundreds of thousands of galaxies once observed deeply enough, then how many more are waiting in every other patch? How many structures are still hidden behind dust, distance, and redshift? How many cosmic histories are unfolding in regions whose light is still traveling toward us or will never arrive at all? Each discovery makes the unknown grow faster than the known. And that is what makes the size of the universe feel so astonishing. It is not just large in a numerical sense. It is large in a way that defeats closure. The deeper we look, the more reality seems to open beneath our feet. Perhaps the most haunting implication of all is that we may be living in a very special cosmic moment. Right now, The universe is still old enough to reveal deep ancient light, but not yet so expanded that all of that structure has vanished forever beyond the horizon. In other words, we may exist in one of the last eras when the large-scale architecture of the cosmos can still be reconstructed at all. That idea is chilling because it means cosmic understanding is not guaranteed. It is temporary. A civilization born far enough in the future might look out and see only a dark, lonely local universe with almost none of the distant galaxies, ancient background light, or large-scale evidence we still have access to now. They might never know how vast the cosmos truly is. They might never know it had a hot beginning. They might never realize they were living inside an expanding universe full of unreachable structure. James Webb is not just revealing the astonishing size of the universe. It may be helping humanity read a cosmic truth during one of the last windows in history when that truth is still visible. For most of human history, we looked into the night sky and saw distance. We saw darkness. We saw silence, and without realizing it, we turned those things into comfort. If the universe looked mostly empty, then maybe it was understandable. Maybe it was large, but still manageable in the imagination. Maybe the darkness between galaxies meant there were limits we could eventually map. James Webb has destroyed that comfort because what it is revealing is not just a bigger universe. It is a universe that was hidden from us by our own limitations. A cosmos so crowded with galaxies that even the deepest empty patches of sky are overflowing with structure. A cosmos whose observable radius already stretches around 46.5 billion light years in every direction, even though it is only 13.8 billion years old, because space itself has been expanding the whole time. And beyond that observable sphere, there may be vastly more, possibly so much more, that the part we can ever see is only a tiny visible island inside something effectively boundless. That is what makes this discovery feel so astonishing and so unsettling at the same time. Because James Webb is not only showing us how much there is, it is showing us how little of it can ever belong to observation. Huge regions of the cosmos are already disappearing beyond the horizon because of dark energy. Other regions may always remain forever unreachable. Every observer lives inside a private cosmic bubble, with no single being ever able to see the whole. In that sense, the true size of the universe is not just a number problem. It is a philosophical wound. It means reality is larger than any map, larger than any story, and larger than any civilization's chance of fully knowing it. And maybe that is the deepest shock of all. The universe was never sparse, never quiet, never small enough to hold in the mind. We only thought it was because we were looking through narrow windows with fragile tools in one temporary era from one tiny corner of an expanding cosmic sea. James Webb has not merely confirmed the astonishing size of the universe. It has confirmed how profoundly incomplete every previous picture really was. So now the question is no longer whether James Webb confirmed the true size of the universe. The real question is this: if the part we can see is already this overwhelming, what kind of reality exists beyond the last light we will ever be able to reach? If you enjoyed this video, drop your theory in the comments below. Do you think James Webb has finally shown us the true scale of the cosmos? Or are we still only seeing the first layer of something even bigger? And subscribe, because if the universe is this astonishing from our tiny visible corner of it, then what comes next may change the way we think about existence itself.